All right, guys. So, yeah, let's kind of talk about what kind of pilot to actually use your SP conversion chips on. So, I was planning to use the wiki to see what we can actually figure out, but I noticed that the wiki they have not done any update whatsoever to it. So, I actually have to type up pretty much most of the pilot. I'm only doing support today because like I said, I have to type up everything, and then like for the SRs and the Rs, there's like a good chunks of it. So I type out everything, and then we'll just kind of take a look at the abilities and whatnot. Before I do talk about like the SRs and Rs, for example, I do have to give a few honorable mention for the SSR. SSR is not that they're bad, or I shouldn't say they're. It's not that they're not the best candidate to use your SP conversion chips, but the problem is their SP upgrade afterwards is actually not really impressive in a way. As you guys can see, their abilities doesn't really change. Like you guys can see, they stay true to whatever they are. The real thing that they're actually just getting ultimately is some stat increases, which it doesn't really mean a whole lot when like your base skills and ability are just niche or just kind of how they are. But as far as like the honorable mention for like the SSR, if you do want to use up some stat per se, we have some event one to start things off with. So we have Suji. So he's still a pretty I'll consider him a prime candidate if you are specifically using it for Gundam and G Crux. It's still pretty good for support purposes, and his stats after upgrading is decent. I mean, he actually works really well with both range and melee at this point in time, because if you add, let's say range plus awakening, and then melee plus awakening, you do have a pretty decent stat overall. So this is definitely catered towards like the weapon, like the weapon that wants to scale off from the awakening stat. Then that attack is going to be pretty powerful overall. But yeah, you do have a pretty solid foundation for this pilot, so it's not bad. And these tags ain't the best. I will definitely have to give you guys that, because there are some pilots that comes with like a bajillion tags, and that's gonna work really well with some of these new Eternal Road stages. But I mean, overall, Suji's still decent, I will have to say. The next one I would say is gonna be Elpri. I think she's really well because again, she provides 2 support attacks, same thing as Suji. When you fulfill Double Zeta series, I mean, this one is a really laid back effect right here. Like Zeta series, like every one of them gets it. So I would definitely say if you are planning to upgrade something, if you really want to upgrade something for SSR, I mean, she's definitely a good candidate for it. Yeah, stat wise is, not the best. I'll definitely give you guys that again. But great tags overall. You do have a few different selections. The abilities aren't the most craziest. You're not getting like any attack bursts or MP up or like even a sway per se. But I mean, she does the job. I'll just say that. So there's that. The last honorable mention, I guess 2 more. We have Ketra. Same thing. Ketra for Wing series, 2 support attack, pretty helpful. And stat on him is actually 703. That's if the weapon specifically only caters towards like any range attack and not really scaling up from the awakening stat, then Ketra is really good for that. The other one is gonna be a summonable one, Luna Maria. Same thing, same concept for Sea Destiny. She provides that to virtually all of them, so works really well, I feel like. So there's that. Stat wise, again, it's not the most impressive, but she does what she needs to do. Providing 2 support attack is really awesome. But yeah, these are just some honorable mention. I feel like they could be, you can consider them if you want to, but I wouldn't really consider them in the long term after you take a look at some of the other options that are featuring in the SRs and R territory. So like I said again, we're only taking a look at the supporters today. Hopefully tomorrow I can start typing up like the DPS and finally the durability pilots, and that will probably be a wrap for the time being, like for these right here. So let me kind of switch over to, or I shouldn't switch over to the Excel sheet yet. I do want to talk to you guys about these real quick, just to take a quick look at them. These actually go pretty insane stat wise. They're actually pretty good. Like Camille's, like, look at this dude, like got this eight specific tag that you can kind of leverage off from. If you're talking about like Eternal Road specifically, he's good. Ability wise, like, look at this guy. Like, you will find a lot of these SRs and Rs actually have support count increase level 1 by 1 time. So unfortunately, this is kind of like a one and done usage. So these are good, but at the same time, you can only use them one time. So you kind of have to be, I guess, a little bit more strategic on how you want to use it. But overall, they're still really good. So that's why the SRs and Rs, they are kind of like the prime candidate for you guys to want to upgrade rather than like the SSRs because of that. Enough talking. Let's hop over to the Excel sheet where we just kind of do some stat comparison, skill 1 and skill 2 comparison, so you guys can find the one that you guys like the most. Alright, so we swap over to the Excel sheet. So like I said again, I literally have to type up a lot of these because on a wiki they don't have the SP for a lot of these pilot, or they don't even have that at the moment. So for the time being, we just have to type up literally everything. So there's overall, as far as like the pilot count, there's 71 to kind of pick from, and I did include the SRs and Rs as well, so we can definitely kind of take a look. The first thing we can kind of take a look at is just looking at them strictly by the stats. Let's kind of find out who may have like the highest range stats, melee stats, and whatnot. And after that, we can specifically target some of the more rare skills that you guys may want to favor over some of the others, and we'll talk about some other exception as well. So if you do from the highest to the lowest for the pilot count or the pilot stats, I would include some of the pilot's image because I'll definitely tell you guys I don't know a lot of these pilots, and we'll kind of go from there. So the highest goes from 882, and this is obviously for a range for a unit weapon that deals like a lot of range wise. Like, this is going to be very good. The ability on this pilot won't be that great because like we have save energy and range boost. I mean, not that it's bad, but as far as like the massive upgrade from a lot of different selection is actually these are kind of bad. Range boost is always gonna be a good saving grace in a way because depending on what you are, you kind of want to get like an extra sniping. But then again, if that unit is gonna do some provide support afterwards, this is gonna be like a one and done. So it's not gonna be like a forever thing. It might work one time too. Like, you can do it up to 3 times because a lot of the range boosts is only like 5 SP costs, so you can definitely do it 3 times. But I wouldn't really pick them. But for the stat purposes, it's actually not that bad. Going down to Watt, right? Let's see what he does, or he or she. I don't even know, honestly. I don't know. 821 is not bad. Attack burst and lock on is good. I kind of like this combo. Lock on is pretty good because depending on a stage or whatever we get in the near future, there might be like a boss similar to like one of the Eternal Road bosses. I think it's called what is it? GPO 1 Bernier, where if the enemy falls below 50% health, it has like insane evasion, where lock on can definitely save you, and attack burst, that's a sweet combo. So this is a pilot that you might consider kind of upgrading if you do want to. 822 stat is really good, and the awakening stat is not the best, but overall it does net you like 1200 in a way, so that's good enough in my honest opinion. Lock on, I will probably say maybe the best one of like the top 3 that we're looking at if I want to be honest with you guys. Range boost, like I said, is kind of depending on the situation, it can be good, but overall is not compared to like action burst, for example. But they're actually giving out something new here. This is the support attack count. Essentially, this is kind of like a pseudo pilot that has 2 support attack for that specific turn. And the SP cost of this one is going to be 10, so this is going to be 1 turn and done. So you might want to use it in a advantageous situation where you know you need that support attack and you know you can for sure either win, like closing into that winning stretch, or you want to use it. Like, these are actually really good. Alright, so this is definitely something we want to highlight because these ability are kind of awesome. Alright, and there are a lot of pilot that has these, so don't think this is the only one. It just so happened Lock-On is like the highest one off the list. So that is kind of like your top 3, and I'm not really gonna talk about like the other few. And something I don't have on here, or the total tags that a lot of these units may have, and I would say a lot of them don't. You guys may have to look at the specifics of it, but the other thing that you might want to also consider is like their applicable character tags, because that is going to determine how well they might fit into like some of the newer Eternal Rogue stages, where they want you to use some of the most clankiest or just like what in the world tags to pair it up with. So that is also a consideration. I'm not really factoring it into here because there's just gonna be like a lot of like variables of like what works and what doesn't, and that is like I don't think it needs to be that specific, but this right here just give you guys like a general sense of like what's actually going on. So we'll just take a look at the top 3, like some of the other ones that actually aren't that bad at all, but we'll talk about some of those in a bit. As far as melee, melee, in my honest opinion, don't really seems to have the most love in here. Like the top 3 ain't that bad overall. Graham Acre coming in first, 805. I don't think Graham has like the best character tags, if I recall correctly. I don't really think he does. So that could be a consideration whether or not you want to go for him. But as far as like the set of skills that Graham has, I mean, he got like he's pretty good. Offensively speaking, attack burst combo and melee boost. So even though you're not getting like an extra support attack, that's fine. If you can output decent amount of damage plus this and these 2 in combination, I mean, you're looking pretty good. And keep that in mind, both of these only cost 5 SP points, so you can definitely use one or the other a second time on the other term. So I mean, overall Graham is looking pretty solid as far as just the melee option wise. And the other one, Gina Marco, I don't know, man. I'm not really good about a lot of these pronunciations, so y'all gotta forgive me on that. But this one's not terrible because range and melee did get their specific boost, but the skills in this one is actually a little bit questionable. Lock on is good, but energy save, not so much. I wouldn't go for them. Definitely not. Ulube coming in at 3rd is, you know, it's whatever stat, but the ability is like it's not that great. Lock on, high speed, depending on the situation, maybe high speed can come in clutch, but not all the time, I feel like. But yeah, that's kind of like your top 3 right there. But something to really focus on that they actually include for a lot of these pilots. So these are just on skill 1. So skill 1 are kind of fixated on what they originally have, so they're not really like anything crazy. On skill 2, on the other hand, we actually have a lot. So a few that we want to focus on right out the bat, we have Sway. So there's currently 6 pilot on here that actually has Sway, and you can find some that actually give you a relatively good combo. We have 2 that actually come with like action burst, like Char's Acetable and Amo Ray. Both of them are from their different specific series. One of them is from Char's Counter Attack, while the other one is from Zeta. So it's not bad. Like, these 2 aren't the worst, but their stat is kind of like on the, you can kind of say, average end overall, but their combined score like pretty good. So these two, in my honest opinion, could be like your best pick overall if you want kind of like a harder hitting with Sway. This could be an option. The other two, like the energy save, I wouldn't go for them. Alright, like energy save is, I just can't really wrap my head around using save energy even for like a support, because if these support only have one support attack, they're not necessarily going to be draining a whole lot of energy, so I don't think it's that great to even have them. But you have Sway, but they're not, I wouldn't say they're the best. The other one is going to be the 1 Year War Armor, which you have the range boost. Range boost could be pretty prominent from time to time. Could be a good option. But other than that, Lock On, like I said again, it's not really that great. So you guys can definitely pick in between these 6 selections of what you want. But other than that, let's talk about the other ones that are actually pretty good. The support attack count. There's 7, so a pretty good selection of them actually. There's 2 that have save energy, so I'm not gonna go for them. So there's the Camille, and then there's the George Desan. So those 2 have save energy, so we can probably, if you want them, go for them. But it's just me, I'm gonna be skipping on them. The other one is we have Kira. So Kira is the action burst, and Haman from Double Zeta is the one that has the attack burst as well. So these 2 are the kind of like the harder hitting ones. So if you activate both on like the single turn action attack burst and support attack count increased by 1, that should net you some pretty good outcomes. So I think that's actually pretty good. We have 2 that are actually the range boost, Reedy and Lock On, but you guys already know Lock On does have the higher stats, so you guys can probably pick Lock On over that. High speed, we do have the 1 Year War Charge counter, Shore. I was gonna say Charge counter attack, but that one is at high speed. High speed, depending on how bad your placement is, high speed could be good, and 1 additional support attack. So depends on the situation, but I think of the 13 that are like really exceptional, like you're gonna have to do some commitment to it. I think the final note that I'll kind of say is pick one that you know you might need it for like a long term. You want to see what kind of applicable tags that are like actually gonna be, I would say, niche, but at the same time it's gonna be useful for the current Eternal role. Then you want to upgrade it, right? So let's kind of go from there. And I guess the other thing I didn't mention, like a lot of these numbers that are bold right here, that is from, I think it's not the character, it's not from the skill one, but it's specifically from the character abilities, where whatever they further increase. So a lot of them actually overall net you like a pretty average stat, which is not bad because it's gonna work well in both a melee build and a range build. So it actually works out well, like one stone two bird type situation. So it's not that terrible. But other than that, like the other one aren't necessarily that groundbreaking in a way. But I do want to say there is a pilot that are there. They are a few. I think Graham Maker is one that we talk about where he actually just have massive stats. I think there's another one that have similar things as well. I think Cars or whatever. I don't know, but I'm not really sure how you want to pronounce it. But this one gives you the same thing. It works well with increasing like your attack burst and awakening stats. So if a unit you know the weapon scale off from the awakening stat, this two combo is gonna hit like a truck. And the awakening stat is already sitting at 768 with the awakening burst and whatnot. Yeah, you're gonna see some pretty funny numbers. I think Haman was another one that I wanna say have like similar thing. No, the Haman from Zeta is a boost range and a working boost. So it's kind of whatever in that, but I think that's pretty much covers it. You guys can definitely let me know which one you guys would upgrade for. I know a lot of people are probably waiting for the DPS. I think a lot of I think there are a lot of good DPS options as well. We definitely, once I type everything up, we can definitely see what's actually good and what's bad at that point. But other than that, that's gonna be it for me, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one.